Man, guess who's back? I said, guess who's back?
A real fight. Tommy is going to take him out. Tommy has got to knock him cold out. Cold out, and that's what he's going to do, knock him out. People say about the contract and bizarre contract. Yes, it was bizarre. I said yes to everything because we wanted the fight because I know Tommy can beat him at a canter. You know, whatever they'd have said, I'd have put it in the contract because I just want this fight and I want Tommy to get what he deserves out of it and chin Jake Paul. That's what we're here to do. We don't get involved in rubbish, the Furies.
What, is this a risky fight?
For Tommy, no.
No?
Definitely not. I'm thinking about Tommy winning light heavyweight titles, proper titles, but it's a big occasion. There's a lot on the line. Tommy's a young kid, and I've only said the only people who can beat Tommy is Tommy. The occasion, there's a lot of pressure on the kid, immense pressure, we know that. But if he's any good, he'll overcome it. You know, because look at the pressure Tyson's under every time he steps in the ring. So if he can handle it, he can. And if he can't handle it, he's not as good as we thought he was. You know, and you got to tick every box in the boxing world. You've got to be able to handle these kind of big nights because you're going to get plenty of them if you're any good. And if you can't handle them, get another job in it.
Do you think it's going to be hard for Tommy's career if he loses?
Absolutely, it's over.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he knows.
It's early over?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you can't beat the Jake Pauls of the world, the kid's a limited kid. You know, we know this. Probably he wouldn't win a decent level amateur contest. You know, he's never fought a real boxer. They're all MMA guys. It's a different sport. They're crossing over to his world. But once he gets in with a boxer, what knows how to box and been bred to do it, you'll find a lot hard. I'm expecting Tommy to knock him spark out within 4 rounds. And I expect he'll quit as well. Jake Paul will quit. I think he'll quit under the immense pressure. I really do, yeah. Sorry, he's got the ability, he's got the knowledge, he's got the power, he's got everything in his favour to stop Jake Paul and many more like him. And if he's going anywhere in the boxing world and he's thinking about world titles as a proper boxer, and you can't get these men out of the way, it's no good. It's over. Yeah. He knows that. I'm a realist. But it's a real fight. Tommy's got to knock him out, in my book.
What's up, boxing fans? Welcome to Backchat TV. So, those were the words of Tyson Fury's dad, John Fury. He was in an interview and he was talking about the upcoming fight with his younger son, Tommy Fury, against Jake Paul. Now, I know there's a lot of fans, you know, as people would have it, as people would say, real boxing fans, may not be interested in this kind of fight, you know, anything to do with Jake Paul because of the stigma that it's, you know, YouTubers and kind of misfits and stuff like that. But I think this fight is slightly different, and I think it's kind of interesting because Jake Paul has proven some people wrong, that he does have some boxing skills. He's proven that he does really work hard and he does really want to get somewhere in boxing. You know, he's got some impressive wins against some good fighters, people who were supposed to crush him, and you know, he's beaten them, and now you could say he stepped up a level to a real boxer, as they say, quote unquote, in Tommy Fury. I don't even know if I agree with that because I don't really know how experienced Tommy Fury is. I know he's been kind of boxing since he was 12 years old because of this boxing family, but competitively, I don't know how experienced Tommy Fury really is. All the people I've seen Tommy Fury fight, I think Jake Paul would beat them as well. So I don't think it's going to count for much. I think they're probably both at a similar level, to be honest. But the reason why I wanted to cover this fight, it's happening on February the 26th, and I think it's very interesting. Now, one of the reasons why I think it's interesting is the mindset of the fighters. John Fury is completely 1,000,000% adamant that his son wins this fight by knockout, and you can just tell by the way he speaks, there's no consideration at all that Jake Paul could win this fight. Now, that mindset has translated into Tommy Fury as well. And Tommy Fury, anytime I hear Tommy Fury in an interview, you can tell he just does not consider Jake Paul as being someone who would be able to beat him in a million years. And I think this mindset 90% of the time is the downfall of somebody. And I see it. I see Tommy Fury getting beaten, to be honest. The mindset's all wrong. And especially when I've watched Jake Paul in interviews, his mindset is totally different. You know, his mindset, he believes he's going to win, but there's just a difference in the way that they think. And I've noticed something about Jake Paul. He's been with Jake Paul. I like Jake Paul. A lot of people underestimate him as someone with no experience and a YouTuber and all this stuff. But he's training very hard behind the scenes with professional coaches, showing him a lot of things, and he's sparring and he's doing all sorts. He really wants to make this his career. He's come into it from an alternative route, but he's trying to really make it his career, and he has a passion and stuff that I can see in him that a lot of people probably underestimate. And just from hearing him speak, I kind of become, kind of a fan. I mean, in a way of like, as much as you can be a fan of someone who hasn't kind of earned their rights to be, in the boxing ranks and stuff like that, I kind of just like his mindset. I see some things in him that a lot of people might miss. I think he's a lot more calculated than he seems. It's kind of similar to Gervonta Davis in a way, because his demeanor on the outside, he doesn't really seem the most kind of cerebral character, as you would say. But if you actually get to know him, he actually really is. And I think Gervonta Davis is like this as well, but he's just not really a good communicator on the outside. But he actually is quite a thinker. Both of the fighters kind of think about what they're doing and what they're doing in the ring and how they're executing their techniques and things like that. And I can kind of see Jake Paul a little bit of a perfectionist, even though he doesn't seem like it on the outside. Another thing I noticed about Jake Paul is that I think he has an idea of the shot he wants to knock somebody out with before he gets in the ring. I think he works on a shot. I think he looks at his opponents, sees what kind of tendencies they have, and I think he's got some ideas of some shots that he wants to set up for the knockout, like what he did with Tyron Woodley. It's either before the fight he works on this, or while he's in the ring, noticing tendencies, and then he kind of sets up the shot that he thinks is going to land the knockout. And I like this idea, knowing what you're going to do beforehand. I feel like, I don't know why, but I've just noticed this about the two. I feel like Tommy Fury is massively underestimating Jake Paul, and his whole family, is his dad included. The only person I think is not underestimating Jake Paul, I think, is Tyson Fury. I've watched him in interviews, and Tyson Fury does not seem as confident at all. He just seems to be having to say certain things because he's backing up his brother, but he really doesn't know who's going to win, and you can kind of see it in his attitude, and I like that. He's not swayed by this whole family background and 300 years of fighting and we're unbeatable, this kind of thing that his dad is kind of sprouting. I don't think Tyson Fury buys it, and I don't buy it either. I haven't seen anything really positive from Tommy Fury that makes me think that he's going to just obliterate Jake Paul. And like I said, I think the biggest issue is going to be their mindsets. Jake Paul watches your tendencies and tries to lead you into traps. I think Tommy Fury is a person who's just going to be fighting on instinct. As the fight goes along, he's just going to be taking it each round as it goes, and if he sees an opening, he might go for the knockout. But I think Jake Paul's a lot more calculated, and he's actually going to play possum in certain situations and try to catch him with a shot that he's already been thinking about from beforehand. And I think Tommy Fury, I can just see him walking straight into that trap in exactly the same way that Tyron Woodley walked into the trap. I don't know why. That's my prediction. I think Jake Paul wins this fight. I think it's about time people start to assess Jake Paul fairly at where his level is, instead of saying ridiculous things like Eddie Hearn could beat him and a 10-year-old child could beat Jake Paul and stuff like that. People just say these things, but if you actually look at what Jake Paul's been doing, he's beaten a bunch of MMA fighters who do have fighting ability. He then kind of stepped up to MMA fighters who were particularly good at striking, and that is a big step up because striking is their speciality, and he's beating them in the ring as well. And you can see, if you have a look at him, you can see that he's improving. His skill is improving, his awareness is improving, his fitness has improved massively. He wasn't really that athletic and fit in the beginning. He's a lot more fit now, and stamina. I've seen him working on all sorts of different techniques and things like that. So he's definitely growing as a fighter. And like I said, I like his mind. I feel like he's a lot smarter than he seems. And I think that's going to be the difference between him and Tommy Fury. I don't see, from watching Tommy Fury, you know, I think he's okay. I think he's okay as a fighter. But I don't see him really thinking his way through the fight. I don't feel like he's exactly his own man. I feel like he's trying to live out the fantasies of John Fury, his father who didn't quite make it, and his father is trying to live through Tommy Fury and Tyson Fury. And I think because Tommy Fury wants to kind of maintain that family heritage of fighting, I think he's just gone into it, but I'm not sure he's right for it. I think he may be all wrong for fighting. I'm not sure. He definitely has some kind of fighting spirit, but I don't think it's enough for him to go ahead and win a cruiserweight title or whatever it was that his dad was saying that he could amount to at some point. I just don't see it in him. I could be wrong, but you know, all this underestimating him, he's a YouTuber, he can't even punch and all these things. I just don't think that's the right mindset to go into a fight with. You know, he can punch, he has knocked out his opponents. And personally, I think Tommy Fury has looked more vulnerable in his fights than Jake Paul has, to be honest. But, you know, I'm not going to make it a long video. It's going to be a good fight. I'm actually going to watch it. You know, I haven't watched that many of these kind of YouTuber fights, but I will watch this one because it is with a real boxer, as they say, and I think it's going to be a big upset. I like the trash talk from both men, and I give the edge to Jake Paul. I'm going to stick my neck out definitely and go for a Jake Paul win. I think he may get the stoppage over Tommy Fury, although I'm not sure. I've got a feeling Tommy Fury is a pretty tough guy, and I don't think he gets knocked out easily, but I do think he could get stopped on his feet, and maybe round 6 or something like that. But yeah, I'm going for Jake Paul in this one, surprisingly. Jake Paul for the win, and I think Tommy Fury is going to have egg on his face because him and his dad have built themselves up so much that when they lose, you know, Fury's dad, John Fury, has already said that Tommy will have to retire. You know, how do you backtrack from making that statement, especially when you say you're a person of your word, you never change your mind, what you say, your word is your bond and stuff like that. How's he going to go back from the things he said about his son, you know? So I'd like to see how that's going to play out. It's going to be quite embarrassing. Jake Paul for the win. Let me know what you think. Do you think Jake Paul, the YouTuber, can win a fight against a proper boxer? Let me know. I'm on to the next one.
Man, guess who's back? I said, guess who's back?